got it. Well, thank you for having us. We'll try to let you reclaim some of your day. Let's get some productivity out of it, hopefully. So, who are we and why are we here? So I manage a web and mobile group. I've basically got for the agencies that have been assigned so far, .NET and mobile developers under me for the state. As you're aware, consolidation is still in progress, although we're near the tail end of that, so we're about to conclude things. But initially, part of the structure of OMES included an application services division, primarily because, so as you know, developers often wind up getting involved in a lot of day-to-day activities, right? It's once we determine, okay, the PC's plugged in, the reboot didn't work, what do we do now? Let's call the developer that wrote it, right? So that was pretty fragmented and wasn't really offering a great experience for the folks that needed our help. So application services was formed for many reasons. But we have the basic groups under application services includes mobile and web, which is us. We have systems analysts with us that is managed by Lisa McKeithen. We have an enterprise applications group that is managed by Jeff Carlisle, and enterprise being defined as anything state standard. We have UI UX, which is Dustin's group. And we have legacy or conventional, which is managed by Fred Cantrell. He typically has either something related to the mainframe or some very legacy application or language that he has to support through that. So the point in organizing our groups the way we did was to impose a little sanity, bring something to the table that would help coalesce, if you will, the software initiatives in the state and try to get some organization around it. As you can imagine, as we would consolidate agencies that have their own IT shops, for years, historically, agencies throughout the state had their own IT budgets, had their own IT staff, which meant no state standards. Everyone ran their department and developed their applications the way they thought they needed to be developed. That has created quite a challenge, as you can imagine, to try to bring that into under one roof and then apply some standards to that. But that's what we're tasked with, and that's exactly what we're doing. So incrementally, as we start new initiatives, we're applying our standards as we continue to mature them to the new development initiatives. And in particular, web and mobile has a lot of attention because that is the direction, obviously, everyone is going. So Justin and I work closely together to build a set of standards and teams that allow us to sustain and maintain and manage the applications that we've inherited, as well as drive, the future of development for the state going forward. About 6 months ago, we were brought in to a meeting where essentially the Office of Communications handed us the keys, if you will, to some web development initiatives that they had responsibility for and still do to some extent. They have their own IT group. They were basically a separately functioning unit. They made some changes. They were struggling to get some throughput, basically, and so that forced them to kind of make some tough decisions. They did. We inherited, if you will, their backlog of business, their tooling, basically everything they had on their plate, and added that to the pile of what we already had in progress. So to that end, we are still sifting and sorting some of that out. So there's not a whole lot I can comment on, unfortunately, with that because we're still trying to dissect some of those pieces that we own. But in parallel to that, the state has an enormous need for content management, and that is a big umbrella. That means a lot of things to a lot of people. But historically, there was one tool used that we've found basically throughout the state. And, the old adage of when the only thing in the shed's a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. And that was pretty much the model we've seen deployed in a lot of ways. So we made some assessments, looked at some requests that were coming in, and decided, maybe there are some better ways to tackle these problems, and decided to introduce, if you will, some new technologies, some new tooling, if you will, that allows us to address some of these needs and do it in a way that's faster and more efficient and more cost effective at the end of the day as well too. So to that end, we came up with, if you will, a sizing, so to speak, that we've applied to the tools. And when a request comes into us for content, we make kind of an assessment and then have discussion with the customer and then kind of make a determination of where we go from there. One of the tools we've got in the shed, so to speak, that we've engaged and deployed with success on a small scale is what Justin's going to demo for you today. We call it FeatherWeb, which implies pretty much what you would think. It is a lightweight. It is a way to basically manage content or a website, if you will, that is not top heavy in functionality. So if you've got a website that's got a bunch of, database driven stuff, heavy unit application, big functionality stuff, like licensing or something along those lines, this is not the tool for that. This is basically the ability to deliver a pretty flat, if you will, content experience, not quite static, right, but something not as intricate and in-depth as a database-driven website would be. And what that's allowed us to do is generate some sites for customers in a very short period of time. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of requests for very simple websites. Customers want to put documents, they want to make available to the public. They want to display calendars, they want schedules, they want, fairly lightweight stuff. And for those folks, this makes a lot of sense. And I think, hopefully at the end of this demonstration, we'll kind of give you an insight as to, kind of where we're headed with the web, with content management in particular, because that is still a conversation that is happening within OMES. There have been no definitive decisions made about really any particular technology. We're still nailing down, again, some of the standards. So by far, we don't have anything in cement, I would say, to put it safely. So pretty much with that said, unless anyone's got any questions, I'll turn it over to Justin to offer a preview.
I'm just kind of curious. I'd like to posit a question. Again, I'm just kind of interested. What CMS are you all in? And I know some of you are from one agency, so if you can just say, hey, WordPress or
WordPress.
I know you're in several though.
That's true. Juggling quite a bit.
That's right.
We use the GoGo content management system by Interactive. So I have GoGo too, but then I have microsites that are in WordPress.
What was that?
Flow.
Is that that would be Career Tech, right? Someone else was in Flown?
Oh, that's actually my last name. So
Oh.
I was like, really? And we do SharePoint.
Okay, SharePoint. Yeah, that is another CMS. You're above the curve though.
Yeah.
Anybody in Drupal?
Drupal.
Okay, that's libraries, right? Okay. And you're in the new Aqua environment, correct? Or the new Drupal, the latest, greatest?
I'll be honest, I'm barely paying attention.
Where's our group? Is that Melissa? Where's our group?
Okay, Max. Okay, Max. It's Drupal.
Okay. It's one of our sites. I don't think we know what to do with it.
It's the new Office Site Factory.
Okay, and you're from
T7.
TSET. Okay, yeah, good site. I like it. Yeah, I was just curious as to what everybody's in right now, and so Drupal is proving to be, I mean, like Craig said, it's more of an enterprise type CMS, and it seems to be, it takes care of a lot of stuff, especially if you have a big agency, and if you have more functionality to the website, there's a lot more to do with that. But we noticed that 60% of agencies, there's 200 agencies out there, and of those, about 60 to 70% either some of them didn't have a website to begin with, or they just need a site to get a little bit of information up, like when's the board meetings, maybe a little bit of news items from time to time, but it's typically not more than 5 pages for the most of the agencies out there, and I know that you guys represent quite a bit the bigger agencies. So Drupal or SharePoint and sometimes WordPress can address those needs. So we were looking for something that it's very agile, it's very quick from scratch to launch. Something that was very user friendly. Not all web editors come from an IT background. They're not all familiar with HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. Some agencies, they don't even have people who work on the web. One of these agencies I'll show you. It's really just the director of the agency who is managing the website. So we're seeing a lot of those agencies that they need a website, but they just don't have a whole lot of time to manage it. So FeatherWeb kind of fit that need. There's currently 4 websites in it. We started, I think, maybe in January. So the first 3 took anywhere from 1 month to 2 months to get everything in. One of the websites was one of those agencies that didn't have a website, so we started everything from scratch. So let me show you CIB. It was our first agency to go inside. They were brave, and they needed a website quickly. So I guess you all are familiar with the new state template. We were able to create a template within FeatherWeb within days, and able to spin up pages within it. So we were pretty happy with it. So CIB, I think it took about a month and a half to get them from their previous website to FeatherWeb. Board of Private Vocational Schools was that agency that did not have a website. So we were happy to kind of make history that, hey, we're providing your first very website. And I believe this agency had been an agency for at least 20 years. So we were happy to help them out with that. And then there's Physician Manpower Training Commission was the 3rd. And I wish I could show you the screenshot of their very first, or their previous website. It was from, when did the World Wide Web begin? 1996, 94. It was from that era. So they were very much wanting to get out of it. And let me show you the very latest. It's virtual charter, Oklahoma Statewide Virtual Charter School Board. Again, we're using the state template, and it allows for really any layout you want. You can easily go from full width to 2-column to 3-column very, very easily using a full width banner there. So if you've seen one of the newest Drupal sites, it's pretty much, the only thing that's different is the content management system that's delivering it. So we wanted to make sure that we were matching whatever the Drupal website's layout and style guide we're using. Any questions so far? I'll jump into the demo here, demonstration site. So whenever you log in, and I don't remember exactly, whenever you log into Drupal, does it go to the website itself, the front page? Okay. Your user page, okay. So this basically just takes you into the front page of the website, and so you're looking at it as just a typical web visitor, how they would look at it, or they would see. So you're navigating just like just any web visitor, but you get a few things added. One is this top bar, and it helps you kind of move around. But typically, you're really just building the website as you navigate the site. Here's an extra little toolbar here. You can jump to different layouts here, preview the changes you've made. Here's an add page button. But really, the beauty of this is any page starts like this. And since it's in the state template, anything above the menu, like the header and the state ribbon here, you can't really, since it's a state template, it's kind of hands off. However, you can place any logo that you want. I think OAC has added an image in this area. Still looking at the tablet view. Well, no. But they've added, their image there. So, I mean, there is some customization to it, of course, what you can do in the header here. But as far as like where it is on the page, it's always kind of, it's stuck up at the top. And then as far as the menu goes, whatever your colors are, whatever your branding colors are, you can match it to that. It's very quick to change the colors as well. And then, it's your menu, so you add any hierarchy that you want. This is, Rob, you're going to like this. There's a little bit difference between the Drupal websites and this is, I chose to go with the Adobe accessibility menu, and it tabs pretty well. So that was a I wanted to make sure that it was more accessible, since it's a little bit newer than our Drupal offering. So let's add some content. So you'll notice that this bar right here, I guess you can see that line. It's a full width column, and then it jumps to if you want to add things in a 4-column, 3-column, back to a double column, 4-column, full column. So you really just choose your layout. Let's add some. So whenever you click on the add button here, you're choosing, okay, this is the type of content that I want to place in this. And the text, I guess you could call these widgets, but the text widget, of course, is going to be the most popular. These are kind of ordered in popularity and how you, in what content type you wanted. So let's choose text, and then we're going to edit what's ever in the text. Save my changes. And so if this was a live site, that would be immediately live to your visitors. So it's very quick to publish. Whatever you're editing, once you hit save, it's live to your visitors. Something that we've been doing with the agency that we've worked with is they wanted to create spotlight items on their front page, and typically the best way is to make it a photo or a picture. So the image widget, I'm not familiar with this scroll. Yeah. So you could actually drag in an image from your desktop to here, or whatever your file explorer. Let's see if there's any sample pictures here. We'll keep on adding. So it goes 4 across here. So you can kind of already see how quick and rapid, laying out your page can be. You can also just click in here. If you don't like the drag and drop, I don't like the drag and drop, but and you can easily caption these. What's also neat is it gives you an edit feature, which you don't have to boot up Photoshop to let's say you needed to resize it or brighten it up a little bit. Say the boss says, we need to brighten that. So instead of opening up Photoshop, you've already got the image in there, and that's all it took to just brighten up that photo. So that kind of saved you some time, having to open up Photoshop, find that web-ready picture that you used for the website, edit it, save it for the web, then upload it again. This kind of cuts down your time in having to do just minor edits. There's kind of Instagram type edits you can do here. Crop it, contrast, saturation. Pretty nifty little feature. So we've just added some text to the front page, 4 images. Typically you want announcements on the front page. So this blog widget is what we use. And what the blog widget is going to do for you is it's going to archive how you would kind of imagine how a news article type system would archive your news releases or press releases or news stories. You can set it to, I only want to show 3 articles for the front page. You can quickly do that. Let me go, I think I've already set it up here. You can also, it has a tagging ability. So if you wanted to just see articles that were breaking, your visitors could click on the tag and they see all releases with that tag. So kind of just out of the box, you could actually create a website in a day in this. However, the typical web project, the ideal web project, you want to be able to clean up your content. You've got a lot of documents. So really, content is your website. So it really depends on how much content you have is going to determine how fast you can get to launch in FeatherWeb. Publish date option, say you needed to publish over the weekend. There's a way to see all of your posts at once. Go in and edit it. You can set one to be always at the top. There's several ways how you want to display your articles. Either in a list or a list of just titles, or a list of titles and some of the description of the article below it. You can just have tags set up. So all your visitor would just be given just tags to click on. Or you could set it up to where you have the full title and the full body of the article on the same page, and they're just one after another on the same page. What's neat is it's very easily, say you wanted to add in the list of your articles on a separate page, and maybe you only wanted to show 1 or 2 articles on that page, you can easily say, I want to add the news releases here. And so you wouldn't have to change the news articles in both places. It's just one place. That's also true of any block of content. So you could, it's got a share feature. So whenever you click that checkbox, you could put that piece of content really on any page that you want, and in the layout that you wanted it. Does that make sense? The form builder is pretty nifty as well. So you have a feedback form that you want to create for your visitors. Now, FeatherWeb is not rated for private identifiable information. So we're discouraging people to not ask for, social security numbers or anything sensitive information. But if all you want to do is ask, what's your name and your address, and then maybe a feedback box there. Then you just created a form in under a minute. And the results, whenever someone hits submit, you can set it up to go to some email, someone's email, or it also exports it as a spreadsheet as well. What else am I missing, Craig? Oh, the calendar. So kind of just like the blog system, the event widget is kind of what you'd imagine. It helps you display your events on a calendar. And again, you can say, I don't want the calendar view, but I want it to be displayed as a list. And it would show the latest event coming up as a list. And again, it has that same type of archiving type functionality to it. You could set up a kind of a private page. Say you're wanting to kind of keep the page just for internal uses, or maybe it's going to be released in a couple of weeks, but you want people to log in to see it. You could do it through this widget here. We don't really use these other widgets. I think code is just if you wanted to display code as an example of code, but that it's kind of very specific functionality. And then if you'll see where it says share an element, well, if you've clicked that checkbox to share that specific content block, then it shows up here in this list, and it adds it into that page just like that. So you notice this contact is actually this contact here. can see your pages. Displays it kind of as like a sitemap. So if you didn't want to navigate like a regular user, you could just go in here, pick one of these and edit the page. You can also rearrange these. Say you wanted news next to events. Then that just updated the menu. And again, it's live now. You'll notice item 1 and item 2 were places in the menu where it drops down. And again, you can arrange those. You can take one of those out of here. Maybe you want it as a top level item. Hit update and it's done. Another little neat feature, there's no traffic to the site, so you're not seeing any stats here, but instead of logging into Google Analytics, you're already in the site, you're logged in. This is kind of a quick, just a quick snapshot of, okay, this is the web traffic for the website, instead of having to navigate through Google Analytics if you have it. And search queries. People are looking for sit and lorem.
That just the search function for better web.
It is. Any questions?
You able to store documents within this?
You can. Mm-hmm. Let me go back to a page. Go to Document Manager. So really this is kind of like your media library, where you have your images, your documents. Just to be organized, I'll create a documents folder. So again, you can drag and drop your files over here, or you can click this button. Let's see if there's any. We'll add this PowerPoint here. You could add multiple documents by just selecting whatever you wanted. So we've got the ABC iPad in there. Now typically, before you would do that, your typical adding a document to a web page and linking it is more like, okay, I'm going to highlight this, I want this to be the link for that document. Then I would go into Document Manager. I would either upload it, or maybe it's already there. Click on it. You'll notice that this is what we highlighted before. Hit Insert, and now that link goes to that document. And now just download it. So it is unlimited pages. It's unlimited storage. Let's see. It's cloud hosted, so there's not much. You don't have to worry about the new 5.6.3.3113 update, and it's a security update, and we've got someone in the building's got to update it quick. There's none of that. This is fully supported, so there's nothing that a webmaster would have to do to take the website down at 12 midnight, install some updates, and then see if everything goes right. There's none of that. It's all, any type of updates or security updates are done behind the scenes. There is a way to, say your agency is rather large with several divisions. You could create a custom role where, and you can name the role like communications division, and assign not visitors, but editors to just the communications division's web pages. So that's kind of a neat feature. There's, of course, default roles like administrator. You can, if you wanted, you could just have people upload files or upload images. It's got that capability. So it's not very granular, but at least you can come up with some custom roles and assign editors to certain content or certain pages. One other thing that kind of gives relief to web editors is, oh, I screwed up this page. I've added a table in there, and it's row or col spans against rows against columns, and we don't want to do that, by the way. But let's say we just royally messed up. There's a quick feature where anytime you saved the page, you could go back to that version. And once it just loaded up that save that I did 2 hours ago, hit my changes, and it's what's live right now. You could also, of course, say you're working on a page throughout the day. You've got to go to lunch, so you can hit save draft and come back to it later. You know, little things like that are also a part of the platform too. Any questions?
Sorry, I have a question. On the custom role, is there any way to monitor what the Office of Communications is posting from an administrator position? Or do you just have good faith in them that they're going to know what they're posting?
Since it's not, you know, an enterprise type platform, it's kind of based on trust. Yeah. So there's no really workflow to publishing. You just have to trust that they're not putting cat pictures up, you know. So even though I like cat pictures.
I'm assuming this is open source. I mean, did you have to pay for it? Is there a statewide license, or you just?
There is a cost. We know that Drupal was promised for free, but we wanted to be a little bit more responsible, and there is a month-to-month cost. It's $80 a month, I believe, and again, it includes support, it includes training, it includes the unlimited pages, unlimited storage. You know, there's a lot of worries that you don't have to worry about is included in that cost.
And for $80 an agency gets something.
Yeah, it's one price. It's not tiered or anything like that. Any other questions?
I have a question about the code function. So is that only displays HTML directly, or it doesn't execute anything that place in there? Like, I don't see a Z in there,
There is, to a degree. I mean, of course, if it doesn't conflict with the state template, there's an advanced tab here where you can put in a CSS class.
Is there a custom CSS area as well?
There is. So it can be, custom to, again, your colors. Of course, we've styled the headings, to certain colors. I believe. Sure. There is a code view here if you needed to get in here and add a class to something in there. It'll take JavaScript. So something like the Gov delivery pop-up deal, we could add something like that, as long as it's kind of a docile type JavaScript. Not if it, can't be too elaborate, I guess.
Is there any access to the header?
There's a site settings. This is actually where you change the logo. So if you had a logo change, it would be just as simple as changing it right there. Fav icon. Oh, it's in advanced. Yeah, so you could add some things in the HTML head. Body class, body header, body footer. If you had social media, add it here. More questions?
So we on the house share on the business website right now, and placement of open graph and other content like that in there on the page.
If it can go in that, I guess. Let's go back to that. So you'll notice here I'm putting a custom CSS. So yes, it does go in between the head tags.
That's the universal header, not the page by page.
Yes, it's universal.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're wanting a page by page.
Is there any individual page the open graph content that's placed in the header, so that when it pulls into Facebook or Pinterest or whatever, it pulls in specific copy and country and
Probably not. Yeah, I don't think per page it gives you that option.
We've got kind of that visual composure look on the homepage. Were you able to kind of add, like if you have full width, 50/50, and full width again, do you have kind of access to manipulate those areas?
do you drag and drop to
Yeah, we've for one of the sites that we're working on now, the Attorney General Office wanted a 2/3 type column approach, so we were able to add that in for them. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the style guide from the Public Affairs Division, but really any layouts possible. We just kind of went with what's typical.
Yeah.
But yes, it's open for if we need to add some type of custom layout.
And just from an SEO perspective, can you update the meta description?
I think a few things. If it wasn't in this settings here,
Well, I just mean per page.
Oh, per page. Like the meta words.
There's a rule supposed to be at the top or something.
This is kind of like a developer. It brings up the IDE, but it's just for the template.
Right.
I imagine, there are some things that are put into some meta tags, but I don't know exactly what that is. But it doesn't look like you have that type of granular access to individual pages. And again, it's a lightweight solution. Sometimes it's not going to be a fit. But if it is, we feel like it's helping quite a few people out. So,
would you mind going into the users and roles
sure.
section, showing us that?
So here's just, you're adding a user. What do you want your password to be, Craig?
Dot, 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 there. Like that. Perfect. Perfect.
So here's the roles tab here. Here are the default roles. So I want him to be administrator. But for custom, come over here and hit this plus sign here, and let's say communications. Role for communication page. Then I only want him to edit the events page. Click on Craig there, go to roles, and here's communications. So he's administrator, but let's say he didn't have that administrator role. He would only be able to update the events page. So it's very simple, but at least it allows you to, if you needed to just assign a person to a single page or pages, multiple pages. It's really just any scenario.
So if they were allowed only to edit that events page, would they still have access to go in and edit metadata or code?
No, they would only.
It's only administrative role.
Exactly right.
Okay. So basically, they just have access to the web editor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any other questions? If you have any other questions, you can talk to Bailey Weiss. She's one of our customers now for Department of Corrections. We've got Department of Corrections, we've got Attorney General, and Department of Mines we're working on right now. So
You're setting them up on federal?
mm-hmm. And again, you kind of have to look at your current functionality of your website. What type of content are you adding, which is going to help determine if it's a good fit or not. So, but we're happy to get in touch with anybody who's interested.
What is the process to sign up? Just contact you?
If you know your account executive in OMES, I just encourage just to reach out to them, and they know what to. If you say featherweb, they'll know what to do. It'll eventually reach to Craig and I. All right. Well,
What's going on with group